President Trump has signed a revised executive order on immigration. Media was not present, but the White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer tweeted out this photo showing the president signing the new travel ban. The details were unveiled in a joint appearance by Secretary of State Rex Tillerson, Homeland Security Secretary John Kelly, and Attorney General Jeff Sessions. The executive order takes effect on March 16th and expires after 90 days. Restrictions affect travelers from 6 Muslim-majority countries, not 7. Iraqis are no longer banned. Here's what those cabinet officials had to say about the changes earlier.
It is the president's solemn duty to protect the American people. And with this order, President Trump is exercising his rightful authority to keep our people safe. To our allies and partners around the world, please understand this order is part of our ongoing efforts to eliminate vulnerabilities that radical Islamist terrorists can and will exploit for destructive ends.
This executive order responsibly provides a needed pause. We can carefully review how we scrutinize people coming here from these countries of concern. Second, the Department of Justice believes that this executive order, just as the first executive order, is a lawful and proper exercise of presidential authority.
This executive order is prospective in nature. Its focus is on preventing the entry of new foreign nationals from the 6 designated countries. Accordingly, it is important to note that nothing in this executive order affects existing lawful permanent residents or persons with current authorization to enter our homeland.
Let's bring in Stephen Portnoy of CBS Radio News. Stephen, what is new in this executive order, and how are the new portions being explained by the administration?
What's new, Tony, is the fact that this has particular carve-outs for green card holders and visa holders. What was so striking to me as you look at the picture of these 3 men, these 3 senior Trump cabinet officials in the room, these are the men that the White House hopes will be the public face of this action as opposed to President Trump. And it was interesting to me how they spoke in order of their cabinet rank. Rex Tillerson, the Secretary of State, the senior most cabinet official in the room, then the Attorney General, then the Homeland Security Secretary. What's different here is the carve-outs for green card holders and visa holders, the carve-out for Iraqis, the fact that it is in place 10 days from now as opposed to immediately. This is all meant to assuage the concerns expressed by judges in the month and a half since the first order was put in place.
You know, I wonder if you made the same observation that we had made earlier, that the 3 men really spent a lot of time explaining why the travel ban was necessary, as opposed to really clearly stating the differences. They certainly identified the differences, but they didn't even bring up that 10-day waiting period before it was implemented.
Well, Anne-Marie, it's important to understand that the people who are opposed to this, and the ACLU will have a press call within the next hour, they intend to challenge this, the fact that the administration has not, to this point, argued effectively, they believe, that this ban is necessary to achieve a particular security aim. You heard Attorney General Sessions say that 3 of the nations named are state sponsors of terrorism, and the other 3 have served as safe havens for terrorism, and the governments there have lost control of their territory to terrorists. You know, the people who are challenging this are going to say it still has a basis in an animus against Muslims, and they're going to point to all the things that then candidate Trump and his advisors said during the campaign about instituting a broad blanket ban on Muslim immigrants to the United States. And there are still going to be questions asked here about why it is that, for example, Saudi Arabia or Pakistan or Indonesia or many other majority Muslim countries are not on the list. We didn't get an answer from the officials today.
Well, you know, one of the questions was, where is Donald Trump in all of this? The famously press-friendly president who likes to be in front of the cameras, likes to have maximum visual effect for all the signings, all the presentations. All we got is one snapshot. What do you make of that?
I think it's very interesting that this president, who has been so out in front and wanting to be on camera, will not be seen on video today, as far as we can tell. There are no events on the president's public schedule that have him in front of a television camera. The picture you see on the screen is the only image we have seen so far of the president today, and it might be the only image we'll see all day.
But that's amazing. Wait, Stephen, has there been another day of the Trump presidency where he spent 0 minutes on camera of any kind?
Maybe on a weekend, but on a weekday, it is very rare for the president to be straying from cameras. You have to imagine that if he were to have an event today and reporters were to be in the room, they'd ask about what he thinks about the fact that the FBI director and he see this whole notion of surveillance through the campaign through a different lens, and what exactly the president has in mind when he tweeted on Saturday morning that his phones were tapped. So these are questions that we intend to ask the press secretary, Sean Spicer, at a gaggle which will take place next hour. That gaggle is off camera. Another example of how the only video that the administration intends for you to see today is what you're looking at right now, these three men presenting the new travel ban.
And not to mention, these three cabinet members did not take any questions at all either, Steve.
It is really important to stress that. This is an opportunity. We would have had an opportunity, you'd imagine, to ask these men to justify what it is they're doing today. You heard Secretary of State Tillerson say at the start of his remarks that officials spent an hour on the phone with reporters today. Now, that's true. There was a background briefing, but none of the quotes are attributable to any particular individual, and these were relatively junior officials. They were not cabinet secretaries, and there was not an opportunity for a free-flowing exchange. Now, we will have that opportunity here at the White House with the press secretary, but you won't have a chance to see it because it's not on camera.
Very interesting. Steve Portnoy of CBS Radio News, thank you so much. We appreciate your time, Steve.
You bet.